Okay, in this video, I'd like to continue where I left off in last video, talking about the object that was shot down over Lake Huron on Super Bowl Sunday 2023, not far from here in Rogers City, Michigan, right off of US 23. There's no coincidences, there's only consciousness. Let's get into it. So where I left off in last video, I show you our local Rogers City newspaper called the Press Eagle Advance from Thursday, February 16th, 2023. So this paper only comes out once a week. They're showing you what was going on in the boat harbor. Like I said, the whole thing is focused on Rogers City and the boat harbor. It's like a focal point. That's why they give us the whole 13 on the map as our designation. It's the Illuminati signature on this thing. There's a lot of higher up that are involved, and they're showing their cards. They're laying them down and I'm picking them up. So in the paper, they're showing you what was going on here. The Coast Guard had apparently suggested that they were going to come to Rogers City and they want to do some kind of search and recovery, rescue type of operation. But that never happened. So what apparently had happened is this was either heard over the scanner or this was called into the sheriff's department in Rogers City. I haven't confirmed any of this, but supposedly somebody had called and said that in this area here by Millersburg called Rainy Lake, that they had supposedly Chinese spy balloon debris in their property, at their property. So that call went out and nothing was ever said. Apparently the response back from the officer was, I don't know if I qualify to do such high-tech stuff or something to that effect. And they made fun of it. So nobody said anything about anything. So it's kind of a little bit strange, and this is where the story gets a little bit fishy, is the next thing that they show you on the paper is the sheriff's department. And they have a search and rescue dog that they're highlighting in this article. It's just another strange coincidence, as most people would think, but it's part of the deal for real. So whether there's a connection there or not, we may dig deeper. So the Coast Guard planned a Monday arrival, which never ever happened. And then here you have Melissa Dalton, Assistant Secretary of Defense for Homeland Security and Hemispheric Affairs, and General Glenn Van Hert, Commander, North American Aerospace Defense Command and United States Northern Command, made statements to the press Sunday evening in Washington, D.C. So they're talking about the Chinese spy balloons and how they have been more closely scrutinizing our airspace at these altitudes, including enhancing the radar. So they're looking more closely at everything. So she says that we also know that a range of entities, including countries, companies, research organizations, operate objects at these altitudes for purposes that are not nefarious, including legitimate research. This is the whole key to everything. They just told you what's going on. because we have not yet been able to definitely assess what these recent objects are, even though that they told you and showed you that those other ones are weather balloons. They clearly showed you the pictures. We have acted out of an abundance of caution to protect our securities and interests. So that's where the whole thing gets fishy. The spy balloon from China was, of course, different in that we knew precisely what it was. These most recent objects do not pose a kinetic military threat, but their path and proximity to sensitive DoD sites at altitude could be a hazard. So if there is an unknown object entering either Canadian or U.S. airspace, airplanes will investigate to identify if it's a threat or has committed a hostile act. In that situation, I am clearly directly to engage without further permission. They must mean directed, clearly directed to engage without further permission. So that means they're shooting stuff down. In this case, there's no hostile act or intent, but it is an unknown object, and therefore we have a further discussion across the government, both the government of Canada in some cases and the government of the United States, to assess it is a risk to national security by passing over key covered facilities such as our missile fields and other structures. So they assist if acting against the object would risk damage to boats and mariners in the water or infrastructure and people on the ground. The object shot down in Lake Huron the object shot down in Lake Huron first registered on radar at 4:45 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, Saturday, 70 miles north of the U.S.-Canadian border. Okay, and remember what I said I was doing on Saturday night? I had a big bonfire going on here, and I created a huge temperature differential in the area, and it attracted a pulsing UFO. So let's read this again. The object shot down in Lake Huron first registered on radar at 4:45 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, Saturday, 70 miles north of the U.S.-Canadian border. At that time, F-15 fighters from Portland, Oregon, along with a KC-135 tanker, were scrambled to investigate the radar contact. At 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, the radar track crossed into the United States airspace. At sunset, we were unable to find the track. Also, our radar operators lost the track on radar, and the FAA was never tracking the radar. Therefore, that is why we called it an anomaly, because we weren't able to identify it, Van Herk explained. So, this is all matching up. Intermittent radar contact had the object traveling from Montana to Wisconsin overnight, but it's likely, but we have not confirmed that track that we saw in Wisconsin was likely the same track in Montana, Van Herk said. The object was tracked over the eastern portion of Wisconsin and monitored as it passed over Lake Michigan, assessing that it was no threat. It tracked across the UP of Michigan. We were cleared to engage the target in eastern Upper Peninsula, over Michigan, over land, and ultimately down the object at this point about 15 nautical miles east of the Upper Peninsula in Lake Huron. What we saw was an object that began drifting, potentially, most likely landed in Canadian waters in Lake Huron. And we have ongoing recovery operations with the Coast Guard assets moving towards this area, Van Herk said. Fighters were scrambled from the Madison, Wisconsin Air National Guard unit. Ongoing efforts are underway to recover the debris. So this is all very interesting stuff. What I was doing might have triggered this whole thing by building that fire, and with my area here being such a dielectric spot. Like I said, this whole thing ties back into the Illuminati, the secret societies, and the Vatican, along with higher up in government, who are showing and telling you what they're doing. So with the whole tie-in, as I've mentioned before, is that Rogers City and this whole Boat Harbor area is the focal point. It's such an anomalous spot, they give us a number 13, because that's Illuminati's signature on this. Another thing with Rogers City is it has the church, the only Catholic church in town is called St. Ignatius of Loyola. So here they show you Gretchen Whitmer showing up at the Boat Harbor or the Marina where all this is taking place on Super Bowl Sunday. It made national headlines, and then they show you their next move, catching the sun. So this year, this paper's from 2022. This year near Rogers City, they're getting ready to catch the sun because they're getting ready to put in a giant solar panel farm here and plug into all these high voltage poles that are strung up along the lake that they just got going. So that's part of their next plan. They're showing you their next move because this just came into the whole scene this year in 2023, the whole solar panel thing. So when you actually flip the page, the next page is what I'm talking about. St. Ignatius Catholic School. Here's the advertisement from the St. Ignatius Catholic Church. So it's all part of this whole tie-in with the elites, the Illuminati, all the secret societies, the Masons. It's a focusing point. That's why they give us the number 13. I've just helped to amplify the whole spot. And right now, as we speak, the amplification and the magnification on my channel and what I'm doing here and what's going on here in Rogers City and the Mackinac Bridge deal is ready to make everybody question what they thought that they knew. Right now, everybody is being, they're being defooled. It's just like Ed Lee Skellman said. He said he was here to defool everybody because everybody was fooled. So it's the same thing I'm trying to do here. Thanks for watching.